Moving on to Paleontology Chapter 3, How Paleontologists See Time. So, the Earth undergoes many changes over time. These changes are preserved in its rock layers. Older layers of sediment and dead organisms are covered by newer layers. These layers eventually turn into sedimentary rock. Paleontologists can compare the contents of one rock layer to those of another. They note differences and similarities between the organisms. This helps them understand how life on Earth changed. Scientists once believed that no dinosaurs lived as far north as Alaska. A paleontologist takes a look at dinosaur bones found in Alaska. So there was a time when people didn't think that dinosaurs lived in certain areas, and that has changed because the plates shifted, and Alaska was warmer before. Slow changes. Populations of plants and animals change very slowly over generations. As paleontologists discovered more fossils, they began to see how life changed on Earth. When paleontologists look at fossils from consecutive layers of sediment, they see changes over time. For example, they have noticed that fossils of land plants are found in more rock layers than fossils of land animals are. A paleontologist studies a 600 million year old plant fossil in China. Land plants probably first developed between 500 and 400 million years ago. Smaller versions of this horsetail fossil are still alive today. This means that plants began to spread on land before animals did. Fossils show that the oldest plants were simple and did not have roots. Early plants floated in water. Over time, plants developed root systems that allowed them to hold themselves upright on land. They developed into shrubs, bushes, and trees. As land plants became more common in the fossil records, more and more plant-eating animals developed. These animals could never have existed before there were enough plants to feed them. Dividing time. Paleontologists have divided the record of life on Earth into three major time spans called eras. The earliest is the Paleozoic era, which lasted from about 542 million to 250 million years ago. It was followed by the Mesozoic era, which lasted until about 65 million years ago. The last is the Cenozoic, our current era. Each era is marked by the development and loss of certain organisms. Paleontologists work with geologists to study the Earth's past eras. The Paleozoic era. Simple animals already existed at the beginning of the Paleozoic era, but soon many new organisms developed. A great variety of worms, corals, clams, snails, fish, insects, amphibians, and reptiles developed. Mosses, ferns, and trees also developed and spread across the land. Study of the Paleozoic era led scientists to another discovery. Change did not always happen slowly. Sometimes enormous changes happened all at once. More than 99% of species that ever lived on Earth are now extinct. Diplodocus was an amphibian that lived at the end of the Paleozoic era. Rapid changes. Around 250 million years ago, huge numbers of species became extinct. They are not found in younger rocks. When many plant and animal species became extinct over a short time, scientists call it a mass extinction. Paleontologists use this particular mass extinction to mark the end of the Paleozoic era. Many factors could play a role in mass extinctions, including volcanic eruptions and changes in climate. Trilobites were animals that lived during the Paleozoic era. One big discovery. One cold January day in 2003, two college students went fossil hunting. Sarah Key and Kevin Morgan were digging in an area of Arkansas that they knew was filled with fossils of tiny ocean creatures. Before long, they hit on something big. They called in fellow student Jonathan Gillip to help. The three uncovered the longest rhinoceros, an ancient relative of the squid, ever found. It was 325 million years old and measured about 8 feet long. This was almost 3 times the length of any other rhinoceros known. Sounds like rhinoceros, right? But it's not. It's a squid. Sarah Key, far right, Kevin Morgan, Jonathan Gillip, and their professor. The facts behind mass extinction. Paleontologists have many questions about why mass extinctions occur. They look for clues in the rock layers. Certain types of rocks and minerals provide information about what was happening when a layer was formed. Paleontologists use this information to make guesses about what made species die off. Volcanoes. Scientists sometimes find layers with a lot of igneous rock. Igneous rock form when lava cools. A layer with a lot of igneous rock would have formed during a time of a great volcanic activity. Too much activity can poison the air in the ocean. If it can raise the Earth's temperature and change weather patterns. Plants could die and plant eaters would starve. With fewer plant eaters around, meat eaters would also starve. Meteors. Sometimes a layer has large amounts of rare minerals that may have come from meteors. A major meteor impact sends huge amounts of dust into the air. This dust contains certain minerals that are rare on the Earth, but common in meteors. These minerals settle to the Earth and become part of the forming rock layer. Meteor impacts can also create higher temperatures and climate change, leading to mass extinctions. Life goes on. Fortunately, the mass extinction at the end of the Paleozoic era did not wipe out everything. Some plants survived. Certain insects, fish, reptiles, and other animals made it through. Paleontologists know this because these organisms' fossils are found in rock that lies above Paleozoic rock. These rock layers mark the beginning of the Mesozoic era. During this time, many new kinds of animals began to develop on the Earth. Paleontologists mark off layers in the rock. Paleontologists use fossils to figure out how ancient plants and animals looked. In the Mesozoic era, dinosaurs first developed. Scientists also find the first flower-producing plants and many new species of mammals in the Mesozoic. These changes occurred at the usual slow pace. But 65 million years ago, there was another mass extinction. Most scientists now understand that it was mostly a result of a meteor impact. Most large land animals, including the dinosaurs, died out in this mass extinction. Sea reptiles and some land plants were also wiped out. One more time. Just as before, some organisms survived the mass extinction at the end of the Mesozoic era. Dinosaurs were gone for good, but mammals, birds, and other reptiles remained. This new era is called the Cenozoic. Many new mammals and birds developed. Insects diversified into the 1 million species we know today. Some ancient species were very small. If you can see, they're using a tweezer or a poker there. Paleontologists agree that there have been at least 5 mass extinctions during the Earth's history. During each one, species across the world were lost. But these massive losses of life have never wiped out everything, and they were always followed by explosive development of brand new species. The species explosion at the time of the Mesozoic era led to the plants and animals we see today. Some insect fossils consist of only jaws or legs. Many insect species have existed for more than 1 million years. All right, guys, good job making it through it.
Like and subscribe and leave notifications and tap that bell.
All right.
Read every day.
Read every single